So Butterfly Kiss says why Ororo was and is better off in the Black Panther franchise. A thread. First tweet.
That's what's up.
Aurora's history to T'Challa was first explained in the Marvel Team Up issue 100. It is here we learned how they met when Aurora was traveling from Cairo to Kenya. They were said to be only destined as friends, but fate would prove otherwise. Oh, how old is this?
That came out in 1980,
82 or 81. 82 or
Yeah,
81.
somewhere around there, 81, 82.
So I thought that this 2005 Storm series was
it predates it. And see, Reginald Hudlin, talk about a comic book fan digging into the crates. This was a one-off, right? From 1981, 82, whenever it came out.
And it was a backup story, too.
Correct. And Karma from the X-Men was first introduced in this book. But Reginald Hudlin, knowing this history, developed a whole storyline that permeated all of Marvel back in 2007 or whatever. That was the first time that in comics that the two of them met and were introduced, and we learned about their history together as teenagers.
Right. And then subsequent issues, just a recent issue. God, what book was that? She basically said, it was my encounter with T'Challa that made me realize that I could be a hero. You know, that I could be more than just this. It wasn't the meeting with Xavier. It was her encounter when she was on Walkabout, that when she encountered T'Challa, that made her realize she could be more than simply the goddess of these people in Kenya, helping them with their rain and their crops and stuff. But she could go out and use her powers for good, to go out and help people. Because that instance with T'Challa was the first time she really got to do that.
I'm already happy that we're doing
her to become a hero.
That's amazing.
Next tweet says, and before I get into the reasons, please know Aurora, she didn't capitalize Aurora. Speaking of lowercase letters.
This English major over here.
Please know Aurora had ties and connections well before they were ever married. This was another not capitalization. This is not okay. This is
on the phone.
It's Twitter.
It's done on the phone, probably, you know.
Okay, but how can the word "and" got a capital letter? That's not okay. Come on now.
Because it's the beginning of a thing. So if you do it on your phone, it automatically capitalizes it.
You're right. This was discussed both in Priest's Black Panther run as well as in the earlier Uncanny X-Men. Ignore trolls and haters who suggest otherwise. Okay, I guess Aurora had connections and ties, right?
Right.
So here they are, where the Panther's technology is incredible. We're 10 meters away, and you can't hear its engines. We can't hear its engines. Yeah, man, that's the
vibranium bafflers on the engines, which absorb all the sound.
As it does, yes.
Look at Luke.
Yeah,
Luke is my boy.
Next tweet down here. Reason number one, Aurora's now she capitalizes. Okay, I'll stop.
Once again, you go colon, you do the next word is going to capitalize on that.
Go back up to that. Go back up to that last tweet.
Yeah. Here?
Never mind.
Okay. Reason one, Aurora's history was further explored beyond just being a mutant. It was in Black Panther books where we learned her grandmother is still alive, and we learn more about her father and her time in Harlem during the Outback era. I remember this. The X-Office had no interest in this.
Okay, let me just interject real quick. For those who don't know, back in the 90s, the X-Men were thought to have been dead, and then they were basically living in the Outback in Australia. And during that time, Storm spent time away from the X-Men team in New York.
And that's where we meet Gateway.
I will add, however, that it was in the New Mutants title that we first learned that Storm has ties to a sorceress from ancient Egypt called Ashaki. That first happened in New Mutants. But they never ran with that.
They didn't run with a lot of stuff.
You know why.
Let's see. Reason number two, we get to see Aurora happy, loving, and enjoying life, which is a wonderful balance to a life that is often mirrored in war and conflict. Aurora is a human, and at the end of the day, who should enjoy the luxuries of not just fighting, but living life to its fullest. And here we're going to see a whole bunch of her enjoying, look at that romantic kind of, cuddling. I remember that.
That panel, that right there
That
from the
one.
Coates' run. You want to talk about seeing black? One of the things I always talk about on the Black Comic Lords thing is the hashtag Black Super Love, and how rare that is in comic books. Is having two black superpowered individuals be in love. It's a rarity, and to his credit, say what you will about Coates' run, his portrayal of their black super love was so organic and real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way they interacted were like two adults having a relationship, a real relationship. And that's what made, the fact that the way they got torn apart, both with starting with Marauders 13 and then with this with the run by He Who Shall Not Be Named, really bothers me because of how rare it was and how well it was done to bring them back together and put them in a solid state
And it was
where they
without
can be
conflict.
without conflict, where they're
without
both
conflict.
what,
That
what
was
their
huge.
conflict was is like, am I, you want me to be your queen, and yet I'm an X-Man and I need to be able to be both. And what Coates did is he brought them back in a way where it was cool for her to do her own thing,
Mm-hmm.
for him to do her own thing. And they trusted each other and they loved each other and they supported each other and recognized that they can do their own thing.
No, it's powerful, but it's very powerful.
That's how
and
real
that's why,
relationships work.
but that's why they didn't want to put that out. They put out other stuff all the time, but that type of power in a black relationship like that is never discussed in comic books.
Never.
It's never really
Never.
elaborated at all.
That's why
that's huge.
Is a missed opportunity. It was not only a missed opportunity, it is a travesty that Marvel, or rather the X offices, who I detest sometimes, really thought that it was a good thing to split them up the way they did. It's just I really
unpopular opinion.
Don't get me started.
But would make sense from where I stand at. Do we think X fans in general see everything in mutant and nothing else? So if Storm being in the Black Panther comic book with the Black Panther could be seen much in the same way as we would see one of our own, if they quote unquote dated outside their race. So not to say dating outside your race is a bad thing, but maybe people like X fans and maybe even to some degree the X offices see mutants as just that. And anything else they would be doing or trying to do anywhere else in the comic book would be seen as an effrontery to their mutantness.
So what you're asking is, does her X gene permeate her existence versus her womanhood or her blackness? Probably over there in the X title, that's probably how they think about it. I'm an X-Men fan. I'm loving the current run of the Fall of X and all that other good stuff. But as a black man in America, my blackness permeates everything first and foremost, right? So when I see her with T'Challa, I'm looking at her as a black woman with a black man, and as has been said by Brian, and Paul, in the history of modern comics, you do not have a black power couple. You don't hardly have any black couples who are known. You don't have a Lois and Clark. You don't have a Reed and Sue. You don't have a Peter and Mary Jane or Peter and Black Cat and Peter got around a little bit. But anyway, you don't have that solid black love in comic books. And shout out to Reginald Hudlin who did that, right? It was unnecessarily torn asunder during the X-Men versus Avengers run. And then, as much as I disliked Coach Run, I give him credit for, as Paul said, organically trying to put them back together. That was unnecessarily yet again destroyed during the last run. And hopefully, Dr. Ewing has the ability to put them together, because this is what's missing in comics. There is no black love in modern comics from the big three. Well, let me say the big two. I don't know what all is going on over in Image. But when it comes to the comic books of Marvel and DC specifically, you'll be hard pressed to find two black characters that are in love with each other. Think about it.
Yeah. And if they do, they wouldn't play them up anyway.
Over in DC, you may have Mal Duncan and Bumblebee, but nobody gives a damn about Mal Duncan and Bumblebee, if we're going to be honest about it. T'Challa and Storm are the preeminent black characters in Marvel. They just are.
Reason number 3. Aurora was stated as being above race because
Ugh,
she
what does that
Okay.
even mean?
All right, let's
Ho-ho.
stop. Go ahead, guys.
What does that even mean? Above race?
I understand
That-
it to
I think
mean
it was kind of like what I was. I didn't mean to
Right,
cut you off.
right.
What I
No, I
was
understand what you're
explaining here earlier, they don't see Aurora as a black woman, and that's the problem.
That's
Essentially,
it.
they
That's
see
it.
her as
They
a
see her as an
mutant.
X-Men. They see her as a mutant.
Yeah,
They look beyond all that. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I'm beyond all that. One of the problems, Aurora is like one of my favorite characters. Fact, just flat out. I think Aurora is a good character. But the problems I've had with the character, based on what particular writer has written her, the biggest problem is the fact that they often fetishize her. She is the exotic.
Yeah.
She is the
Yeah.
other. Whenever they need to do an alternative black version of a character, they put her in the multiverse and have her get with Gambit or Cable or Cyclops and have a black version of that character made in the multiverse. Storm, if you go through the multiverse and sees how many children she has, she's got a bunch of children by a bunch of different characters because she is the fetishized, you know, exotic other that they use when they're trying to do those types of storylines. And that's always bothered me. And that has to do with just whatever writers is writing her. There are some writers that write Storm brilliantly and put complete respect on her name. Al Ewing being the first and foremost. John Hickman being another one. When they write that character, Storm does things. She's a real fleshed out character who is not just some fantasized fetish for fanboys. And I think that is a problem that has plagued that character for a long time.
Mm, mm. That above race crap really hurts.
It
overall.
hurts.
It
It
hurts
hurts.
because that's one thing. I mean, comic books. The reason got me into comic books is it reflected my real life, but gave me a positive spin on a lot of crap, a lot of stuff that I have to deal with that I don't have to worry about in comic books. I have the power to go above what's actually out there for me today. Like I could see Wakanda. I could see a place where I didn't have imperialists coming in and doing all these things. Like you can have those ideals, and to say for the X-Men specifically, for the X-Men to say above race when they were the ones that talking about the inclusion and all this stuff and bringing all that stuff out from the get-go, that hurts. X-Men was supposed to be that group that understood that.
Brian, let me ask you something. First off, how old are you, and when did you get into comics, and what book did it for you?
I'm 38. My
Baby.
father was in comics, so honestly, I've been around comics my entire life. So,
Oh, have you?
yeah, like my dad was yeah. You see my stuff, my long boxes. I have gotta be like 10,000 comics, but it was handed down from my father. He was always big into T'Challa. He was always big into Batman. So those are the ones that I kind of stuck with Black Panther. Probably have maybe 200 issues or so. I try to catch them between. There's some I like, some I don't, but I mean, all of them are important to me, and all of them kind of give me a really good visualization of who I am and who I would be without all this other crap in there. A world without, what people see me and fear me. Remember, I'm a 6'5", 265 black guy. All right, I'm a very big dude, and I know
Why?
how people.
You're above race.
You all right.
But they see me, they see me coming. So it's nice to see someone who has the power to be able to deal with that. And I think that was always big with me. So
Do
it
you ever
stands very
cosplay?
strong.
Do you ever cosplay?
I haven't.
Dude, you would make a good bishop.
Bishop. I've heard Bishop. I've definitely heard Black Lightning, but
Nah, bishop.
I'm big. I'm a big dude.
What's this mean? Attacking Claremont? What is that in reference to?
Because when I talk about the fetishization of Storm,
Oh,
Yeah.
that. Okay.
I love Chris Claremont. I think he's one of the best writers to ever write comics in general, but specifically the X-Men. But I have some issues with the way he's written Storm. I mean, there are times that There's some cringy stuff if you go back through the crates and read some of the portrayals of Storm in history. There's some cringy moments there that it didn't age well, is what I will say.
I've heard people say Ali transcends race or Michael Jordan or something like that. And the way I know you're shaking your head, I get it. But what they mean when you say that, and by the way, Mark, did you see the DM? Go ahead and
Yes.
all right. When they say that, they're trying to say actually like a nice thing. They're actually trying to say we can humanize him on a level. That's what they're
No,
saying.
I'm getting ready to
Oh, you agree?
I'm getting ready to
Do
disagree
X
with what
fans-
they're saying, what they're doing. Go ahead, continue.
And
Do X fans understand? I'm sorry. Do X fans understand why the X-Men came to be in the first place?
Exactly what my point is. That's exactly my point. The whole X-Men doing it.
Yeah. You have to see race if you understand the reasoning behind what the X-Men are. That's literally Malcolm X and Martin Luther King.
Well, what they're telling you
How
is
do you not
that
see race?
we don't associate stereotypes and stuff when it comes to Storm. We're not thinking of someone like a stranger who all you know about is the way that they look, and so we just apply. Okay, this person is probably fatherless and ratchet and all the other kind of negative stuff, which I shouldn't have reinforced by saying them out loud. But that's what they don't think about when they see Storm, and to that's why I understand them for saying, and they word it in a terrible way. It's like saying something like, this is kind of a little bit off track, but you ever heard the topic of white trash? Why white trash? Why not just trash? Why do they got to be white trash, right? I'm trying to make sense, but I think you know where I'm going with that, Mark. But
No, I feel you understand what you're saying.
I understand.
So it's just
But
a misuse of language.
I understand what you were saying about when white folks, because they're the only ones who say this, where they say they don't see Michael Jordan, who was very popular in the day, Michael Jackson, whoever, as they don't see race, is that they quote unquote transcend race. No, they don't transcend race. They are still black individuals. Just your internal bias allows you to see them as a real person and not automatically put them in this negative box or have negative connotations about them. They've not transcended anything.
But I'm too busy. Celebrating. I'm too busy being happy that they see human, as opposed to being okay. Well, the reason why you shouldn't say that. Let me just stop you right there. And here's why we like. I don't want to be the fun police and let them know that what you're saying has problems. I'm just gonna take you view Michael Jordan as a person. Wonderful. That's how I'm going to take it.
I think it's more that just their socioeconomic level has gone up so high that you no longer see it. When you've made so much money, you are seen as something totally different. I think that's what it is more than anything. That's nothing to do with it. Their socioeconomic level has gone above their race.
Yes.
Because you have race, you have socioeconomics, you have all those things.
About that. Dave Chappelle talked about being, remember when Chappelle was pulled over by that cop and it was the same cop who would eventually take out he did something wrong. I forget what it was, but it was like, yo, why? Because I was Dave Chappelle and because he recognized me. Why was that the reason why I was freaking I don't know, sacrificed or not sacrificed? The other word for that. Let go. So yeah, the socio-economical kind of status can reach so high that all of a sudden you no
longer see it.
Like that when Uncle Phil bailed out Will and Carlton. Remember that? And he was like, "Oh, wrap you up in so much litigation, all that stuff." You could see the cop slowly humanize Uncle Phil for what he is worth all of a sudden, and that's because he reached the status. Man,
yeah.
Let's read the thread.
Yeah.
Reason number 3, she said. I'm on the wrong page. Whoops. Is it here?
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Aurora was stated of being above race because she rarely discussed it. This thankfully was not true in Black Panther. Yeah, she is written in black spaces where we get to see the intersectionality of being black, a woman, and a mutant. Yeah. Y'all already know the X offices ain't touching this. Maybe it was Tom Bruce.
She ain't lying.
So we got to see them.
That's off of the Crew series. Not that one. That's from Black Panther. The next page.
You said this page here?
No. Yeah, that's from the Crew, where you get to see Storm go back to Harlem to, her roots from New York, her family in New York.
And she hung out with Misty Knight, if I am mistaken.
Right.
Black Panther and the Crew, I want to say it was about between 5 and 8 issues, if I'm not mistaken.
It's somewhere around here.
I recognize one of these panels here from Wakanda Forever X-Men. Anyone want to test me on that? Because I'm sure it is.
So
I can't
I
argue with you.
accept it.
Yeah. Here we go here. It says reason number 4. She has access to the larger Marvel universe. She linked up with the Avengers and Fantastic Four while in Black Panther. I gotta push back. She does have interactions with these other groups in other comics. She should be both Earth and the universe's mightiest protector here. So these all happened in Black Panther issues.
I don't recognize that. That doesn't look.
The Fantastic Four was that first one.
Yeah.
Where she and T'Challa took over the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But the one with
Jonathan Hickman.
So
this was written by Reggie Hudlin, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was Dwayne McDuffie. We got 3 different.
You're right. I think it might have been Dwayne McDuffie.
Well,
it was McDuffie first.
No,
you're right.
It was McDuffie.
You're right.
Hudlin took the Black Panther comic part because he was the guy writing that, and then Dwayne McDuffie was doing the Fantastic Four stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
See how everyone can be right, D-Real, and we're not going to call each other out on it?
It's your show.
Next tweet is this one here. It says, reason number 5. She lives for a world more in line to the dream she first joined the X-Men to help secure. She fights with mutants and non-mutants alike because she values all life, not just mutants. X-writers tend to write her one-dimensionally, which does her a disservice. Kind of, you're right. And part of that, maybe I'll give them a bone. Because it's a group book, because you're always writing these different characters, you're not going to get the Aurora focus. Not all the time, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that last picture. That was really cool.
That's from the crew.
Yeah.
This one?
No, before that.
The first
the adversary.
Yeah.
Okay.
That right there, that's from the crew.
Reason number 6. She isn't written taking a back seat to her friends and colleagues such as Logan, Cyclops, Emma, etc. Her voice perspective is as heard and is respected in the Black Panther books. No lowballing of her to make others look good.
Okay,
such as making her a regular teammate and subservient to Kitty Pryde on an X team. Someone who she mentored as a child.
Right now, though, in the X books, she's not being treated that way. She's like the goddess of Morocco or whatever. So
Regent.
They've been doing a better job with her over the past year and a half over in the X books, more so than they have over the previous 30 years of the character's incarnation.
That's because we're talking.
Probably why we get so many complaints about the X-Men books in these runs now.
That's because we're talking about the writing of Al Ewing and Jonathan Hickman, which you said those are the exceptions to the rule. By and large, she has not been treated well.
Reason 7 of 10. Aurora is written as the powerhouse she is, even in a book she is featured in, and not the main character. This is where we first find out she's potentially an Omega, and literal goddess.
Facts.
Lowercase g. Respect in this regard will always be given as the Wakandans see her as a god. So, yeah, in this... What's this? This is an X-Men book, though, isn't this? No?
I don't recognize that.
No, that's Scott Eden's art, isn't it? I changed my mind. So...
This might be recent.
T'Challa,
given her braids. How about that? How about that?
I
last
like
picture?
the box braids.
Go back one picture.
Yeah.
Braids.
yeah.
How often have we seen her have braids in the X books?
Never.
Again, I don't like it when Africans assimilate to something that what was that?
Somebody on fire?
Was that me?
Yeah.
I think it had to be you.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
I was mid joke, and I don't think it's gonna hit as hard. I was gonna say Storm is copying the Kim Kardashian Armanian kind of box braids, and we don't need to have that in our comic books. That's what I was gonna say, but it's not gonna hit the same because of that interruption. Here we go. Number 8. She has a legacy she can leave indifferent to her ties to the X-Men, just as Gray Summers is important to mutants. Aurora T'Challa could be respective to this franchise, as was hinted by the Watcher. That's right. I remember that.
I remember that.
Right.
Oh.
That was validating right there with the Watcher being at the wedding. And no matter what that thing is with Cable, doesn't count. Yuck. Epic, yep.
Shout out again to Reginald Hudlin for putting these two together.
Look,
and showing just how important their union was that the Watcher, he showed up at their wedding because he realized how
These-
significant that Black Union was.
Yes, these panels that the Chillmonger is just showing is from, if you're a Black Panther fan, a book you should, or two books you should really have are the annuals, Black Panther annuals 1 and 2, that were written by Reggie Hudlin. It's called Black to the Future Part 1 and Part 2. That's where you for one, Black to the Future #1 is the first time you see Shuri as the Black Panther. Everyone's like, I gotta buy, whatever, X-Men. I mean, Black Panther #2. It's actually in Black to the Future #1 that you first see Shuri don the mantle of the Black Panther. Also, in this storyline, it's a fast forward to the future where T'Challa and Aurora have their kids and they're getting married. And some of them are getting married to, one of them's getting married to Namor's child. But it's acknowledged that Black Panther and Storm took over the world. They're last people standing. Like, they bodied everybody. They took over the entire freaking world. So much so that they're left alone now.
Took trophies too.
Which was the fear that Reggie Hudlin wrote about. If when they first got married, they're on honeymoon, and T'Challa and Storm are on a beach at some island, secluded island, that Namor gave them for their honeymoon. And he has this conversation with Storm, and she's like, "Don't you fear, like, what people will worry about with having me and you get together?" He says, "No." And she goes, "Why not?" He's like, "Because if they come after us, I'll have to deal with them." It's like I will literally take them out. Like, he makes that's the fear, is having them as a couple was that dangerous. That's one of the reasons I love them together, because it was dangerous having them together for the rest of the Marvel universe. And
You're done fixing
ultimate state in those annuals.
I don't care about Rogue.
This comic is called Black to the Future. That's the name of the.
It's the name of the storyline in the annuals.
Yeah.
It's Black Panther Annual 1 and Annual 2.
Yeah.
From
You can get the book.
One of them came out in 2008 and the other one came out in 2018.
I was thinking about that storyline. I could not remember where it was, because I obviously I remember there being one of their descendants being part Atlantean. I just couldn't remember where it came from.
Yeah.
Reason number 9, creators. This is perhaps the most important. Her inclusion in the Black Panther franchise has allowed her to be written by a very diverse group of writers. I don't like the way that the people use diverse. It's not a diverse group. They're actually the same skin tone, right? They're the same
all black.
American.
I think by diverse, they're not referring to skin tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got guys and ladies.
Their style, and then you got men and women.
Okay, then I'm wrong. Yeah, so then they're using
because Reggie Hudlin's a movie director. Ta-Nehisi Coates is an epic writer of
he's an academic.
Nonfiction.
Coates is an
academic who's also writes nonfiction,
which subsequently can allow more diverse and well-rounded storytelling featuring Aurora. Is this Roxane Gay?
No,
that's not Roxane Gay.
No,
that's Okafor, and I can't pronounce her name.
Nidi Okafor or something.
Yes, I believe
there was a basketball player named Okafor. So this is Coates, and this is Roxane Gay.
No,
that's not Roxane Gay.
I have no idea who that is.
It's not Vita Ayala.
No, it's not Vita Ayala.
Dr. Ewing.
Nope.
No.
I
know who
I want
it
to
is.
say it's Sheena Howard, maybe. Jeez.
I think so.
Oh, could be. Yeah. Look that up.
Next, the last one is that Black relationships with the comic book medium are rarely shown in healthy and loving manner. Basically what we've been saying this whole time. And as Coates showed, this can be executed beautifully when a writer earnestly wants to showcase this. The end.
Reginald Hudlin did it first.
Coates did it better?
Getting them back together, but Hudlin did it first.
I'll give a lot of credit to Coates for trying to repair.
Right.
Exactly.
Prepare the relationship and prepare what was going on.
But again, when people don't care, like Jordan D. White of the X-Men, and everyone else who who's been a part of them being separated. Vita Ayala. Who else? I'm the name that I can't rename right now because that trash. That there's a lot of people trying to stop it from happening, and for that reason, as much as I'd be happy for them being happily ever after, I'm so tired of this. Let's not return back to the T'Challa Storm thing. Some writer somewhere down the line, or some editor somewhere down the line, is going to decide this isn't for me. I'm just going to be like, all right, what a waste of pages. We've already had the breakup, the mend, the breakup, the mend. What are we doing?
Right. They need, you know what? They need to be like the Reed and Sue for black folks, because at the end of the day, Reed and Sue are going to be together. They were married. They've been married for 60 years of the comic books. There have been brief periods of time where Sue has gotten her feelings, whatever, and
Mhm.
left, but she always finds her way back home. That needs to be the same situation for the two of them. There is no logical reason for them not to be together. And the way that it was done in Avengers versus X-Men made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It was completely stupid.
Why are the most destructive pages and things one little panel? Why are the
One
most?
panel.
What's all?
Yep.
But we got to
Oh.
sit through Ewing's Black Panther run that we got right now. It's been 3 issues, still not the king, still a monarchy, still all this troublesome stuff. And I'm just like, all right.
Let her build. Let her build.
I hope she doesn't get canceled in all this time. I hope all the readers stick with it and are not like, oh, no, I'm not paying money for this stuff. I hope
Well,
so.
that's why
Get your pre-orders in. Get your pre-orders
Exactly.
that's why it's important for
What
us.
are the numbers right now? What are
talk
the
about it.
numbers? Yeah.
It's important for us to talk about it, acknowledge it, and to push people towards it, because that
Right.
way we don't have that canceling. We actually get someone who actually gets it, that we're going to get to that point.
I'm the guy saying save your money on all the other black characters at Marvel and concentrate all your dollars into Black Panther. It is more impactful for the success of this one series than it is to also have a pick a hero, Miles or a Blade or a who else is there? We had Photon at the time, Moon Girl, and hey, if you're trying
I
to make
like
them,
Blue.
I know you like them, and I get that, and I got why people would want to read these other comic books. But let's be real, the one with the less amount of ceiling is the Black Panther. So let's
Mhm.
concentrate on getting that. If because you can vote more than once every single month. You can vote with a $4 comic book, and you get the variant and the other variant also, and you'd be doing. You can. It's just the fact. I like that mentality when it comes to purchasing at Marvel. I think I'm done. If they do announce like Luke Cage Gang War, I'm good. I know the fate of Luke Cage. I've seen what he's been. When there's an actual push, when they did what they did with Bendis, right, where he was the leader of the Avengers, and if they coming out of that, they do a Luke Cage book after 10 years of that, I'll go, oh, they're behind Luke Cage. But I know that there is a dead end here with this character, so I'm not even bothering with that Luke Cage. But don't worry, I'll buy 2 Black Panthers that month because I know how to use my dollars. At least I think I know what I'm doing is the right thing.
I still like Blue Marvel. I'll like some more
What's his
issues.
What's his status at the company though? Let's be real. Since 2008, where
Has
has he been?
anyone done anything since you really, the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, since that's
With
you
Blue
haven't had
Marvel?
anything?
Nothing
Blue
in
Marvel.
self-title. I know what you're gonna say, Paul, but nothing with the title Blue Marvel has come out since.
No, there have been no Blue Marvel titles per se